Salute, Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Welcome into tonight's live stream. We break down the latest from Knicks Media Day. We continue our conversation about the new look Knicks, right? That's right. It's a new era, a new chapter, right? We turn the page. We'll continue to talk about the trade. Obviously, people are still digesting it and what a blockbuster it was. But we look ahead now. We'll break down Cat's game, how he fits with this team, and of course, all the best quotes from today's media day. Knicks Nation, the streets are buzzing. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's great to have you with us, man. CT, my brother EJ won't be joining us tonight, but we're grateful to have you with us and appreciate the love. Obviously, a lot of you would have caught our recent content, especially the Mark Berman interview yesterday as well. Appreciate you for checking that out. If you haven't already, check it out. But we look ahead, man, and I'm excited for this season. How hyped are you for this season, right? Let me know in the chat. Greetings, Richard, Daniel, Deron, Tony, Susan, and 7-8 Fresh, and everyone else joining us. Salute Replay Squad as well. Many blessings, man. This is the start of a new era, right? A new chapter. We turn the page, like I said, man, and I'm excited. Obviously we lost some good ones, but this is a new look team, and we're going to talk about how they're going to look and how they're going to set up, and the new look starting five. We'll go through that. We'll get your questions as well, and we'll go through the depth conversation as well. How can the Knicks stack up some more depth as well? The trade hasn't been completed, so there's still some moving parts. There's the rumors floating about Mitch. Of course, we'll talk about that as well. And I'm not as concerned about the depth because I feel like you can add depth, throughout the season. There's going to be the buyout market. The better you are as a team, more free agents will look at you. But we'll talk about that more as well. Everyone loves a winner, baby. And obviously in New York City, if you're winning, these veterans are going to want to come to join you, So yeah, Johnny, what's up? And Iconoclast, appreciate the love. Great to have you with us. Just some scheduling note before we get into the latest, but obviously we've got some buzzing content still coming your way. We're going to be talking to Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown on Wednesday night, live stream with him. I think he's going to drop a video on Karl Anthony Towns, so keep a lookout for that. And Thursday, we'll be talking to MSG Network's host, the one and only Bill Pedo. Ladies and gentlemen, there's talk that he's going to be doing maybe some sideline stuff. We know Alan Hahn is going to be doing some of that. Obviously, you may have heard Rebecca Harlow is going to be no longer providing the sideline coverage. So look forward to seeing what MSG has up their sleeve for another year of exciting Knicks content and Knicks coverage on MSG. But salute, guys. The greatest quotes from today's media day, right? We're not going to go through all of it. Trust me that I will bring up, the key points, and I'll, make it concise for you all. But obviously the trade hasn't been completed officially, so Karl Anthony Towns wasn't able to speak, but he was there, right? There was some footage of him, as I'll bring that up, or a photo of him smiling and wearing a Knicks cap as well. So great to see Karl Anthony Towns sort of, come into terms with his new surroundings, right? Obviously he's no stranger to the area, and we're going to break down Cat's game, man. You may have just seen the image, but the best pick and pop screener in the league is Karl Anthony Towns, fam. There's been some new Knicks change their numbers. Kolek is going from 13 to 21 now, and Cameron Payne is going to be going to number 1. That's right. Formerly Amari Stoudemire, he's going to be wearing number 1. Is Cameron Payne. We'll talk about him. Bobby Marks of ESPN gave his thoughts and feels like the New York Knicks starting 5 is the best starting 5 in the NBA on paper. What do you guys think about that? But here it is. Karl Anthony Towns, all smiles, got the Knicks cap fitted, and he is coming to terms with being a New York Knick if he hasn't already, and is in good spirits, right? This was courtesy of Peter Ball. So a lot of great reporting today from the guys. Shout out to Ian Begley, Fred Katz, who's not going to be covering the Knicks anymore, but his successor, James L. Edwards, will be talking to him as well throughout the season. Stefan Bondi as well. Shout out to all the guys bringing us great content, and all the Knicks content creators as well. But yeah, so Cat was in New York at the facility. He entered at around 10:30 after the interviews kick-started, but was unable to speak, right? So the first up, obviously some of the key points is that Brunson's healthy. He was asked about his hand. Obviously, he broke his hand, man. That is nothing to take lightly, but obviously it's healed up now and he is ready to go. So he's going to be ready for preseason. The Knicks be looking to switch up on defense a lot more. We'll talk about how the team, looks in terms of versatility with Cat, but defensively, we don't have that, true rim protector at the moment in terms of the prowess that Mitch Hartenstein bring. So the Knicks will be looking to switch a lot more as well. So more modernized, more shooting as well with that, more ball movement and off-ball movement with the player movement as well. I'm excited about that, guys, as well. The Divo rumor that he was unhappy was shut down by many reporters, but Stefan Bondi also, a source told him, and Ian Begley as well. Like he wasn't exactly, over the moon, like Ian Begley says that, he was going to lose some minutes, but he wasn't unhappy, that was just absolute BS. And that wasn't the reason why he was just traded as well. Obviously, the bigger picture stuff was that Minnesota really wanted him, and it was the deal breaker at the end of the day. So it wasn't going to happen without DiVincenzo, being in that trade. So unfortunately, they get a good one. But look, Bridges comes in. We're going to hear from Bridges. Obviously, he spoke when he was first traded, but Bridges gave some good quotes about his extension. He's not worried about that right now. He's worried about winning, and that's what we love to hear. Bridges is all focused on camp and doing the necessary. Julius Randle gave his farewell, or a brief farewell, on his Instagram too. Said thank you, New York, and a lot of Knicks Nation showed him some love in the comments of that on his Insta as well. Now, while we're on the Jalen Brunson, right, we'll start with the captain first, but he actually addressed the farewell of Julius and DiVincenzo, right, and how much they meant to him as well, for various reasons. But he wasn't able to really address Cat, because the trade's not official and what Cat brings to the team. But Josh Hart did talk about it as well. So we will hear a little bit about Josh Hart, from Josh Hart. But yeah, Begley did confirm that he's been all cleared. Brunson is ready for full contact. And after the surgery, it all went well, fam. So that is great to hear. Look, Josh Hart, man, he keeps it a buck. That's why we love him as well as his play on the court. But Hart says, we're extremely confident in what we have officially and unofficially. We're ready to get started, right, with this new era, new chapter, right? He's got the new. He's looking ready. He's looking fresh, and he's all about it. He's Josh Hart, right? One of my favorite New York Knicks. On the quotes, yeah, Brunson said, "Look, Dante was my groomsman at my wedding. That should say enough about our relationship." On losing those teammates, it was tough. I'm thankful that Julius welcomed me with open arms, and yeah, I think those guys had good chemistry. And look, before I go any further, I really want to just extend my thoughts on the move, and then we can just sort of put it to bed, and in terms of what I think, and then I'll continue to shout you guys out. But I honestly believe we're just we're just set up differently. But for better or for worse, we're going to find out. But I feel like the Knicks had what it took to win as previously constructed. So under Julius and Divo with this squad, we played a different way. I think we would play a little bit more rugged. We wouldn't be switching so much, and we wouldn't, obviously have the shooting that Cat provides. But we could still have pushed Boston and made the final. So I was fully invested, and I believed in that team. But I still believe in this new team as well, right? I just feel like we're just gonna do it a different way. We're more modern, we're more versatile. We can shoot, we can switch now. Look at all those wings, fam, and that's the depth look. I'm going to bring up our starting five, our projected starting five. But obviously, look at the wings. It's all switchable. Hart can switch from 2 to 4. Bridges can switch from 2 to 4. OG Anunoby, we know, can switch from basically from 1 to 5. So we are more versatile in that way. We're more modern, we're more new aged, as well as the shooting that Cat provides at the 5. You know, that needs its own, deep dive that we're going to do later. But, long story short, I just feel like we're just set up a different way, guys. We could have won the other way, and I still feel like we can win. We may have a better chance of winning this way. And the more I see, the more I'm going to believe it, obviously, with this one. But what's up, Donald 718, Jim, Tay Max in the building? Let us know your thoughts. Your most recent thoughts after a couple days now of this trade going down. And everyone's sort of understanding it now, yeah, and why it went down, and hearing from some guys as well. Um, Howard says, I agree 100% with Bobby Marks. Great to see Howard in the building as well. Richard at the Knicks Fix says, but the former greatest strength has now become the greatest weakness, bench depth. Great thought. Obviously, it's an ongoing conversation. If injuries do happen, it's going to be tough. But I think, yeah, if you're healthy, you always need to operate on the conditions that you're healthy. And I think, as Bobby Marks said, we're the best starting 5. And when it comes to the playoffs, we all know regular season how important it is to get a good seed, but it's not the most important thing, right? You get to the postseason, all you have to do is win 16 games, right? Sounds easy, but it's not. But you have to win 16 games, and you have to have your best players out there, right? Depth only comes into it really, I think, with injuries. In terms of the starting 5, playoff minutes go up, and guys are going to play 38 plus minutes with the playoff schedule easing up a bit, as well. So I feel like the depth will come as well. We'll wait to see what Leon cooks up. The trade hasn't been finalized yet as well. So that is a key thing to note. Landry Shamet, it does look like he will make the roster. Maybe we re-sign Mook Morris as well. I just wanted to confirm that the Knicks had to waive Mook Morris because it was a financial reason, right? It was a bookkeeping reason. They basically had to waive him because he's a 13-year veteran salary. 3.3 million was putting us too close to the second apron. So we waive him just so we can re-sign Daquan Jeffries, Dwayne Washington, and Charlie Brown and send them out to Charlotte to free up a spot. But the Mook Morris salary, 3.3 million, is tricky. Like I said, when you're a 13-year veteran now, it's pretty good money now when you're a veteran minimum, if you've been in the league for a long time. So I have a feeling that's why they're talking about Mitch trades. Obviously, we don't know how soon or how close that's going to be. Mitch is still in in limbo, I feel like, with this team. Obviously, Tibbs talked about it today that they're really going to play it safe with Mitchie, and not push him. Wait till he's fully ready to come back fully healthy. That could be January, it could be earlier, it could be December, it could be even earlier. But I feel like they're just playing it safe. But in regards to Mitch's future with this team, his 10 million, that could be the key to giving the Knicks maybe some more depth, guys. When we look at Mitch's contract and what we could possibly get out of it, we could possibly get Nick Richards and another depth piece and turn Mitch's contract into 2 players, right? And factoring in that he's not going to be ready till later in the season, that could be something telling. What do you guys think about that? Get your comments in, and I'll try to shout out as many comments as I can, especially after I've given my thoughts on the latest. But yeah, that's just where it's at. I feel like Mitch's situation and contract could be the key to getting the Knicks a little bit more depth on this squad and turning his money into 2 players. But yeah, basically, I think that's what the Knicks are doing financially. They can sign Landry Shamet because he's a cheaper minimum guy, but Mook Morris was just basically had to be sacrificed. I think because he's making too much, and the cat money is a lot. It's just pushing us really close to getting over the second apron, fam. Anthony 212 says we've we are praying that Cat stays healthy for the whole season. Yeah, or everyone. Can't really afford to lose anyone on this team. But I think we are the most deepest at the wing spot. You know, yeah, you've still got guys that can play multiple positions in that, and we'll talk about the situational guys as well, because I feel like some of those guys could catch people by surprise. With in terms of the young fellas, the rookies, maybe not early in the season, but as the season goes, we'll maybe see them factor in a bit more as well. So yeah, we'll go through the latest. Now, the DiVincenzo myth, Rumour, that was debunked by Stefan Bondi as well. Refuted reports, the source said, Bondi said, refuted that Divo was unhappy with the idea of coming off the bench next season and wanted to leave the Knicks. Source says he was pumped about next season and playing with Mikal Bridges. Yeah. I didn't believe it, honestly. When he chose the Knicks as a free agent destination, he knew what it was all about. Nothing was promised to him. He's playing with Brunson, and we're all about winning. So I feel like Divo was a great soldier, man, and he would have done whatever was necessary. I do feel like obviously no player is happy, losing, minutes, but that doesn't mean they're like, malcontent. That doesn't mean that they're going to start something in the locker room, He was fully bought in and invested. Potentially backup point guard, Cam Payne, is in the box seat to get the backup minutes. Maybe Deuce playing at the 2. Now he's wearing number 1. Last worn by Obi. And of course, Amari too. Great reporting from Ian Begley. We'll hear from him as well on the latest. We heard from Brunson as well. Now, we talk about the Knicks being more modernized in terms of offensively. What about defensively? No Mitch to start, no Hartenstein. What's the plan, ladies and gents? The plan is to be a more switching team. Hart says, I'm preparing for that. It takes some getting used to. We all were at some point in our careers have been the guy to take on the biggest matchup. Being a competitor, sometimes you want to get over every screen and guard the best of the best. Fam, I love the grit, the hustle, and the mindset that Josh Hart and this team has. But obviously, you got to play to your strengths of the personnel. So I really like that idea of switching, fam. Don't forget, it takes its toll trying to fight over every single screen. That's one of the reasons you saw these guys banged up at the end. One of the reasons why you saw these guys injured. That's what I feel. I feel like switching, you can do it if you've got the personnel, and we have the personnel now to be a really switching team, especially 2 through till 4, fam, as well. And look, we know Cat can guard 4s as well, so it helps to have a center and a power forward that can both switch on each other's man. Don't forget, OG can switch onto centers. Cat can obviously switch onto 4s as well, depending on those matchups too. Johnny says no more Randall turnovers. Load off your mind. Some people are a little bit more happy about Randall not being here. More happy. What's up, Prezi? Tay Mac, I agree with you on Miles McBride. He's going to have a breakout season. You expect him to average at the minimum 14 points and 3 assists a game. Yeah, it's going to be interesting if he plays more at the 2. We bring up Deuce. I feel like he has borderline all-star potential. Now, he's only 24, 25, and I feel like what we saw last season with a huge growth in 1 year, if that continues for another year or 2, look out. I think one of the reasons why the New York Knicks are so high on Deuce McBride is because he's so versatile. He's two-way. And he showed up in the playoffs, man. That's a premium, man. Maximum respect if you show up in the playoffs. Yeah, Deuce McBride, it wasn't a flash in the pan. He definitely was consistent as well. Although he did have a tough matchup against TJ, too. Some people feel like the other teams are more deep. Minnesota, Boston, right? We'll see. What's up, Bricks Nation, formerly Bricks Nation, now Cardiac Knicks. Great to see you, Jet Life for life. So yeah, I think the ability for Cat to pick and pop is big. We'll talk about the statistics in a minute. Just getting through some more comments, trying to shout you guys out more and get your thoughts, man. Get the heartbeat of the New York Knicks, you, the fans. Susan says Tibbs and the Knicks coaching staff will bring out the beast in Karl Anthony Towns. So I feel like we will see the best of Karl Anthony Towns here, right? And that's just not being hopeful or optimistic. That's just based on track record of this team. We made basically Isaiah Hartenstein the best player that he could be. We made Dante DiVincenzo, guys, be the best that he can be. We've made Deuce McBride be the best he can be, and we've made Jalen Brunson. You could talk about Julius as well. We basically get the best version out of everyone, right? And I don't expect that to stop, man. I feel like we're going to get the best out of Mikal Bridges as well, just in a different way, in a more modernized way now that we're going to play a different way too. Once again, I confirm that I really feel like that former constructed team was good enough to win, but I feel like this team has a different way of winning now and a bigger ceiling as well. Now, Bridges. I've been a fan of OG for a while. That's great to hear, man. He looks at his game and looks at him in a way that he could also compete, right, and push each other along to be the best wing defender in the league. Bridges said, I'm happy he's on my side. Right. Imagine if you're one of the two and the other one's got your back too. You can switch, you could fly all over the court with the length and the versatility as well, man. I'm expecting the Knicks to be the best defense in the league, and that's even without some rim protection. Because before it even gets to the rim, it starts on the perimeter, and it starts with locking down guys and being in sync, switching when you need to switch, being all connected, fam, as well. Being in sync is huge. Tibbs talked about his extension as well, guys. It means a lot, Tibbs said. I appreciate Mr. Dolan, Leon and Wes, the front office, and their support. I'm fortunate enough to be here. So, look, Tibbs is 68 now. He knows how close we are. He knows this is the best roster he's ever had, and he's grateful to be here. This is his dream job, man, and I think, could we see a masterclass? Could we see the best coaching year that Tom Thibodeau's ever produced, man? There's no excuses because he has the personnel. He's never had this kind of versatility defensively, and obviously Cat and OG can protect the rim in ways. They're very good on the help defense. They're very mobile as well. So really looking forward to seeing how Tibbs deploys all these guys. Cardiac says if we're fully healthy come postseason, we're going to be a problem. JB, Mikal, OG, Cat, and Mitchell is our best starting five since the 70s. So, yeah, on that note, man, as I talk about the versatility of this team and being a bit more modern, I feel like we're going to see more ball movement and we're going to see more player movement, guys, off ball. Nobody just standing around anymore. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see, peak Golden State offense, peak San Antonio Spurs, but I feel like we're going to see something closer to that. Talking about the Steve Kerr, the Popoviches, where I feel like when a player doesn't have the ball, and this is no shade on Julius, but he's a throwback kind of player where he liked to get to his spots. But I feel like we're going to see with these 5-out looks, players are going to be moving a lot more, cutting back door, cutting to the spots in the corner. Ready. No play is ever going to be dead. Basically, if you get the offensive rebound, the defense is going to be scrambling. That's how I feel like it's going to play out. How do you guys feel? Do you feel better with this new look team on offense or defense? I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Better on offense or defense, do you think? Or do you think we're going to be a top 5 offense and defense? Right? Comes down to health. But it's important to note that this thing is, maybe to be continued. Leon ain't finished yet. Um, we wait to see what he does with potentially completing this trade and maybe swinging a deal to get another depth piece. That would be huge, right? Because I felt really good about having Mook Morris on this team with Shamit. Could give us a bit more depth at the power forward spot in the front court and more toughness as well that we did miss with Julius, and rebounding as well. Now, not going to lie, we are missing that little bit of toughness that Julius added. But Cat's a very good rebounder as well, average 8 point something, which we'll get into as well. What else did Bridges say? Like I said, he's focused on training camp, ain't worried about a potential contract extension, letting his agent handle it as well, but it's coming. He'll get it. Now, OG Anunoby, right, free agent, chose the New York Knicks. What was his thought process behind it? Right, let's hear from OG. I had it there. But yeah, basically OG said that I was always coming back. Man, I love being a New York Knick, and I was always coming back, and I'm excited. So OG took the bag, obviously, 42 mil, but he's so happy to be a New York Knick now and locked up. The best contract of his career. On pairing up with Mikal Bridges as well, OG said it'll be pretty fun. So let's hear from Hart, because he spoke. I haven't heard this yet, but he spoke hypothetically. A guy like Karl Anthony Towns would fit in well with this team.
Didn't don't really know him too well, but no, the times that I had talked to him and ran into him, he's a great dude, high character. I think someone like that with his high character would fit well. Hell, you gotta ask him that. So we always love to have everybody on. So
Look, you got to love Hart. He always gives you a candid take as well, and gives his thoughts on it. But yeah, these players are excited, man. Excited to get it going, right? Put in the work and take down Boston, right? Everyone knows the mission now, and like has such a '90s vibe. How do you guys feel in terms of the vibes? Knowing that they're going to Charleston, South Carolina again, Tibbs is here. Uh, Aspirations to be the number one team, not just kind of hopeful or not thinking if everything breaks right. This team, the expectation is they know is coming in to win the championship, to be number one, and the more they believe in it, I feel like then more likely it's going to happen, right? Julian, salute, great to see you. I'm trying to be optimistic, but you can't tell me the starting five don't look soft. A bench other than McBride is unknown, so I can't say they're gonna be good or not. Yeah, I hear your points, man. I mean, a lot of people just need to see it to believe it. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Players we need to show it. But yeah, look, there is the label on Cat. In terms of the toughness, right? I trust that everyone's just going to step up, right? And look, the NBA is different now, guys. You don't really need no, '04 Pistons to win, right? Look who won the league last year. It was the Boston Celtics. So always compare who won, right? What is it going to take to beat Boston? Do you think Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Kristaps are tough? Right? All they got really is Drew Holiday, and all they got is Derek White, and they don't even have Marcus Smart. They don't have really any enforcers, right? The NBA and the way they officiate is a ticky tack, it's a finesse kind of game now, and I think that's what Leon Rose saw. I mean, these guys are glued in. They watched the postseason. They watched Indiana beat us, right? To be honest, I never thought Indiana was a tough team either. They weren't tough. Tyrese Halliburton, um, you know, Miles Turner, Obi, All those players, man, they're not tough. Pascal Siakam, and they beat us. Yes, they were more healthy, but I feel like, yeah, it's an offensive league now, and you can't really hand check. You can't hand check. You can't really play 90s defense anymore. So I guess we're just going the way of offense, but we're very switch heavy as well. Now, you appreciate Cardiac Knicks for referencing rest in peace, the legend, Dikembe Mutombo as well. Unfortunate, sad news, and prayers go out to his family, his loved ones, his fans as well. And the NBA community is mourning today at the loss of Dikembe Mutombo, former Knick as well, of course, one of the greatest centers ever in history as well. If you're not familiar with him, get familiar as well. Known for his no, 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 not in my house as well. I grew up on that, and it was sad news to hear, man. So thanks for also, yeah, paying the respects, Cardiac, on that one, man. The legends before us, and what a legacy that he has left on this game and in this world as well. So shout out for the legacy. AP says, question, does this team feel complete? Complete starting five? Yeah, yeah. Like, this is the starting five if there's a game 7. But the bench doesn't feel complete. No, the bench doesn't feel complete. I feel like there's more depth that's going to come. It's going to be added. As I said, guys, buyout market, everyone loves a winner. So when the New York Knicks when the Garden is rocking, the Knicks are a number 1 seed or number 2 seed, and we start well, the league's going to have us buzzing. We're going to be buzzing the league and the league on notice. And I feel like, yeah, buyout guys, free agents will be looking at the Knicks in the future. And don't forget, this is a long-term thing. We're built for sustained success in terms of a 3, 4, 5-year run, legit at this. So I think depth can be built over the course. We are a bit thin at the bench situation right now, but I think I think Leon Rose is going to address it. One of the reasons Mitchie could be in trade talks is because maybe a 2-for-1, so we can get back some of that depth that we lost in the 2-for-1 or the 3-for-1 for Cat. Don't forget, we gave up Keita Bates-Diop. We gave up DiVincenzo off our bench as well. So that is a great question. I see you, Donald. What enforcer do the Knicks have now? They don't really have one, and I know you're concerned about that. But yeah, I don't really feel like, how many brawls do we get in the NBA and stuff. But we don't know. We might sign Mook Morris back, and I know he's going to get in the grill of Joel Embiid if he tries some funny stuff as well. Like I said, it's a different kind of NBA now too. What's up, Joey? CT, what's going to happen the first time OG gets hurt? Who are we going to bring in? This trade is sketchy for you. If OG gets hurt, Hart's obviously going to play a lot more. He's obviously going to be playing quite a lot because he's starting. But in terms of the 4, we are thin. That's probably the most thin position, the 4. So maybe we do try to get a veteran in as insurance. We've got Mikal Bridges, who can kind of shuffle between positions, but he'll be undersized. In terms of the 4, Jericho, Precious, Pacome Daddier is, we need to see him on the court, but he's 6'10" now by reports, so he needs to put on some muscle. But he might be able to guard some 4s because he's 6'10" now. But Kevin McCullough is a rookie as well, but he's a guy who can guard up, but he's a rookie as well. So we're basically relying on Precious, Joey. If OG gets hurt, Precious is playing a lot of minutes, and probably he's going to throw Hart at the 4 as well. Don't forget, when you play smaller, you lose something that way, but you gain by getting faster. You gain by getting quicker in speed. Defensively, you can switch more. Look at Indiana. They were playing like Obi at the 4 a lot. He was raining threes, was Obi. So, like, once again, the NBA is kind of different now. If you can shoot it, you can pull your guy out as well. So it's all about matchups too. Juan Ventura in the building says the NBA is a biz. You have to love the uni and not the players as well. That's the mantra I go by as well, man. I appreciate that comment. Um, it's tough because as fans, you root for each player and you root for their success because you're a fan of the team and you're so invested. When they get traded, you can't just switch it off like a light switch, and just forget about that player and not root for them anymore. So it is tough. It is a business, but like I said, fans, it takes time. I always look at it this way, guys. The Knicks traded arguably, if not the greatest player in franchise history, Patrick Ewing. The Knicks traded some favorite sons, John Starks, Oakley. That's an example. So I'm not going to fly overboard, trading Randall and Divo. They don't hold a candle to Patrick Ewing and John Starks for me, and we traded them away. So I know, there's some different fans of different ages, younger ages and stuff, and maybe this is your first major heartbreaking trade. Maybe the RJ one was, maybe it was Quickly, maybe it was somebody else, Kristaps. But it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. The longer you're a fan, there's going to be more trades. You know, um, doesn't make it any easier, but the more you have, it's like scars, or a tattoo. You know, you just get another one. Fam. Keyshawn, salute. What's up? What's up, G Money? Uh, Rest in peace, Pete Rose, as well. We addressed the Matumbo one, but Pete Rose, I didn't see as well. Um, yeah, Ewing was old when he got traded. That don't even count. To some people, it does. To Ewing, it does. I definitely would have preferred Ewing not being traded. He should have retired a New York Knick. Um, so let's continue. But look, the trade's going to be completed roughly in the early in the week. So we are Monday. Maybe it's going to be completed tomorrow. One of the holdups is bookkeeping, fam. I mean, talk about a blockbuster. The Knicks have to sign and give Daquan Jeffries basically 1 year, over $2 million, man. Christmas came early for Daquan Jeffries and his family, man. Imagine just being part of a trade throw in. Your agent gives you a call and says, they give a couple of milli just to trade us. It happened with Quentin Richardson as well. I remember that one with Q Rich. Um, Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time when it comes to that. But we also have to wait to see how many picks Charlotte get, right? That could upset some people, right? If we find out that Charlotte get 3 second-round picks off the Knicks and 1 second off Minnesota to take on those 3 salaries, man, that's just going to add more collateral to this trade, right? But it's done. There's no going back now, right? What is done is done. And obviously, the key thing is after we've signed and traded those 3 guys, we'll be able to get the ball rolling with finalizing the roster, fam. And I hope we do fill all 15 spots. I know it's tricky with the salary right now. And I'm just gonna find that tweet as well because I know people love visuals and it's gonna explain because it's a great image from Bobby Marks. Here we go. Let me bring it up on the big screen, fam. Just quickly, because I know some people aren't into the cap stuff, but this explains why the New York Knicks had to waive Mook, right? So here, this big number, fam. We are 185 million, basically. And where we're at, we're 3.6 million below the second apron. We can't go over the second apron, right? We cannot. We'll be hard capped, right? So where does that leave us? We've got 3.6 million to fill 2 spots. Mook Morris makes 3.3. So that ain't going to fly. We can't sign Mook and someone else. Shamit and Mook. We can't sign Mook and another veteran. It's just too much. So what we have to do is we have to find a way to fit 2 players in 3.6 million. Landry Shamet, and we can convert Huckporty or McCullough from a two-way to a real roster spot and give them a guaranteed deal under that. That fits and that fills out the 14 roster spots, fam, as well. But if we trade Mitch and maybe he's 10 million, that's going to get our number down. And maybe we get two cheaper players in. Nick Richards is making 5 mil. And maybe we can get, Devontae Graham or whoever else can fit. So maybe the Knicks can do a 2-for-1, make that number down a little bit as well. So hopefully that gives you a bit more idea, fam. That's why the Knicks waived Mook. We're trying to fill out more depth. We had to give up that and maybe bring in Shamet and maybe convert. I'm going to guess it's going to be probably Ariel Huckporty because he's a big and we need a bit more center reassurance. Kevin McCullough has some health concerns, so I don't know where that's at as well. I didn't see him in media day today. But let's look at this graphic, right? Your new starting five, Karl Anthony Towns, shooting 45.7% from the right at 3 elbow. Shot 44.5% from the straight on 3, top of the key. And shot basically 36% from the left elbow as well. Last season as well. This is last season's numbers. Incredible, fam. Basically, him and Julius shot the same at the rim, 57%. But the 3-point shooting, right, there's no comparison, right? Julius is just a different player, a different style of play as well. Him and Jalen, they would have had to figure out their spots on the court, and the floor spacing isn't optimal. But right now it is absolutely optimal, as the numbers suggest, fam. 45, 44, and 36% as well. So let's see how that all plays out. So yeah, some people are still upset with the trade. Look, we'll continue to talk about it, but look, we turn the page, man. We've started a new season, right? You're either a New York Knicks fan or you're a fan of a player. There's really no other way to look at it now. You can be upset about it, but like I said, the Knicks are going to continue to trade players. The longer you're a fan, you just got to be a fan of the team, root for the team, and players come and go. Unless you have a personal beef with Towns, I guess that's different. Some people can't root for a player they have a beef with, but for whatever reason, I don't know. Pick and pop screeners, Cat was top, right? 56% from 3 on pick and pop, man. 53-point attempts, right? On a 5.7% of pick set, right? Higher than Miles Turner, Naz Reid, Lauri Markkanen, and Kristaps as well. So the numbers don't lie. These are all courtesy of Sport Radar. The pick and pop numbers from Cat and the 3-point shooting shot chart as well, fam. So that has me more excited. NBA University as well has dropped this thread. Cat's game makes New York Knicks dynamic. Shooting and big-to-big passing will make Cat viable next to Mitch. Soft touch, dribble handoffs, and screen pick and pop makes him a hyper-efficient release valve for Brunson. He can hold down the 5 with required physicality, and foul avoidance will be the question. So that's a good point, man. Required physicality and foul avoidance will be the question. That's the concerns that some of you have on that. And look, he has to live up to the billing, right? He's the highest paid player. He's coming into a pressure situation now. Hometown team, kind of, sort of. New Jersey native, but close to the area. And this is a situation where he's, it's now or never. He's never won a championship. For his legacy now, this is all on the line. And this is Leon's man. This is the guy he wanted. And also Leon's legacy is attached to this as well, fam. AP, great point, man. Give me a single championship. It's all worth it. I'm only getting older, approaching the halfway mark. Salute, salute. We're all getting grey watching these New York Knicks as well. Hopefully we no more cardiac Knicks this season. But yeah, appreciate it. In terms of the Knicks, you know, however long you've been a fan, man, the time is now, and the Knicks needed to go all in, right? Durability is a concern as well. But don't think that it's not a concern for Boston, right? Would Boston have won the chip without Kristaps? That's a great question, because he had an amazing finals. Remember the game 1, game 2, game 3? Kristaps showed out. I don't know if Boston are as good without him like that. And don't forget, KP is out until, I think, December or Jan. So you could question the Knicks' depth, but you could say that about so many championship teams. If you take out KP from Boston, are they as good? If Jason Tatum got an injury, are they still championship? If Jaylen Brown got injured, are they good enough to win a chip as well? So yeah, I know we have a bit of PTSD over, what happened last year and stuff, and man, it sucked and it was bad. But that could have been one in a million seasons. That could have been an outlier in terms of that. And one of the reasons we might move on from Mitch is not because of his abilities, it's because of his durability or lack of, So we are making some tough decisions. So I get it, Donald says, I'm 64, a fan for 55 years. We had best team ever assembled, better than 73 team because of our bench. Yeah, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I hear your points, because I believe that the Knicks had a good enough team to win. But it was questionable how it all fit for me, the starting five. We got to see what we got to see, but Julius wasn't a part of it. And Isaiah Hartenstein was a huge part of it. You take those guys out, and it's different, Isaiah cleaned up a lot of the mess last postseason as well. Offensive rebounding, hustle, play, all of that. When we lost him, that spiraled a ripple effect where we had to turn the page and find a different solution, I think. Because people didn't want Randall playing the 4. So if Mitch is injured, what are your options? You've got no center. So we were still in a tough spot with that one. Salute Joe. Great to see you, man. Joe from the Man pod as well. Great to hear from you, man. Appreciate you. All the OGs here. AP, been a fan since you were 14. You're 47 now. Shout out. I'm the big 4-0, in case anyone was wondering, man. I've been a fan since 91, over 30 years. But yeah, we missed the 70s, man. I was born in the wrong decade. So yeah, Cat's 3-point shooting, but the toughness, right? The toughness is the concern. He has to answer those questions, right? And I'm sure he will. Now let's hear from MSG's own, right? Knicks diehard, Alan Hahn, man. We all love him. Let's hear what he has to say about this move, fam.
Now, I know all the concerns about Karl-Anthony Towns personality-wise, and we've seen him in the playoffs. He's actually had good games, and he's also had games where you just shake your head. He is that guy that there are times you just want, like he is mercurial. He'll have good games and bad games. He will look good, and he'll look terrible. He'll make decisions just like when Randall would make you facepalm. He's going to do it too. But what he does bring is your starting 5 is now able to compete with the Celtics and the Sixers and their starting 5s. You now have a legit 5 players that match up with 2 of the best teams in the East. You weren't beating them at full health in the playoffs without this.
Agree with him. He says we weren't beating the best as currently constructed. But he didn't believe in it. Alan Hahn didn't believe we had enough to get over the hump. I mean, our depth was supreme. Like Donald said in the chat, our depth was supreme. That could have been an edge we had if Boston lost a piece. If if Indiana weren't as healthy as they were, they wouldn't have beaten us. So Alan Hahn is all in on this. He understands it. But there will be the criticism, right? If it doesn't start well, if it doesn't look as well as it did at points last season, but it's a different team, right? Don't forget, guys, we lost Isaiah Hartenstein. We couldn't control that. If we had control and we just let Isaiah walk, there'll be a different story, man. There'll be a lot of criticism, but I mean, you couldn't compete with the money that he was paid. So then we were sort of stuck, Could you have tried to swing a trade for Mitch and bring in another center, a short-term solution? But they wouldn't have been as talented as Karl Anthony Towns. He's a 4-time All-Star and one of the best shooting bigs, basically in NBA history, right? With a chip, with a point to prove as well. So he's got a lot to prove as well. Yeah, like I said earlier, Howard. So Bill Pedo, I'll be recording a podcast with Bill. That'll be on Thursday morning. So I'll be dropping that maybe middle of the day, Thursday. Our next live stream will be Wednesday night. We'll be joined by Coach Nick, B-Ball Breakdown. I think Coach is going to upload a video on Karl Anthony Towns' fit and all of that as well. That might be coming before we get to talk as well. So we'll get to break that down as well, fam. Too. Appreciate you all for joining as well. Replay Squad salute. All our new subscribers too. Great to have you with us. And I'm looking forward to having you with us for all our content this season. Post-game lives. Working on some new features of the show as well. Will be announced at a later date as well. So please smash that like button, like and subscribe to the channel. User says, I feel like the front office felt like our bench was too OP and needed a better starting five. That's a good point. I think balance is a fine line. You can't have a bench so strong and your starting five isn't good enough to beat the best. I think you start with the starting five, like you see on the screen, and then you work up. You build on the depth pieces we have. And with that note, guys, we've talked about Media Day. I'm ready for the games to begin, fam. We've got the schedule. October 6th, our first game, right? That is away to Charlotte. That'll be interesting right after the trade. Maybe is Nick Richards, on the move before that game? We don't know yet. But then we play Washington at home, Minnesota as well. I don't think Julius will play in that one, but he might. And then Charlotte and Washington again, and then it gets going October 22 on opening night in Beantown as well, man. I'm ready for the games to begin. I'm hyped. But let's talk about the fit of the team now and versatility. But how do you feel about the depth? Right? Throw some questions out there. What are you most concerned about? What do you think we're okay at? I think the starting five is obviously among the best in the league, on par with Boston if everybody's healthy. The shooting is unbelievable. The ball movement and the passing, I think, is going to be on point because players can move. They're multifaceted. They're versatile, right? But the bench, right? We might need some rookies to step up, right? The way it's looking, not going to lie. AP says who replaces Dante. I think to start that question, I think Mikal Bridges is coming in, and his shooting hasn't been as good since the Phoenix days, but it's very good still from the corners. It's good from where he's at in the 3 elbow. But he can also put the ball on the floor and play make more than DiVincenzo. I think he's a better defender than DiVincenzo as well, with a bit more size. So we gave up DiVincenzo in the depth. We gave up Randall. But what we added was a bit more positional size. Now, Mikal Bridges, if he plays the 2, he's 6'6", so he's perfect. If he's playing the 3, still a better situation than playing Hart or DiVincenzo at the 3. So a bit more size. Hart is obviously switchable as well. So when asked about this team switching, Josh Hart said we're ready. We're ready to play whichever way we need and get after it. But fighting over screens was tricky. So the team might not be looking to fight over all those screens, and switch on guys. So I think we will be flying all over the court defensively. I think that's really big. Devon McBride is so underrated. Agree with you 100% as well. I love Deuce, man. I'm so happy he's on this team. I think he'll be here for the championship parade. He's got 3 more years under a great contract as well. Travel Vibes, salute. I got Deuce starting at the 2. So you're high on Deuce starting. That's going to be interesting, man. Maybe Tibbs does it by a committee, or maybe he goes old school and lets players win their spot in camp. Says CT, how many games are you expecting Cat to average a year over his contract, playing the 5, right, in the Eastern Conference, considering Mitch played more games over the last 5 years? Mitch had some freak injuries, but yeah, I think he's not as injury prone as some people think. He just got some bad luck, but it was unfortunate. But Cat, I mean, I feel like Cat should play maybe 50% at the 4, 50% at the 5. All right, I'm not fully sold on Cat being a full-time 4 on this team. I'm also not really sold on him being a full-time 5 either, because it's just matchup dependent. But how many games am I expecting him to play? Look, 60. I'd sign up for 60, 65, 65, 70. Right, with big men, it's tricky. But yeah, if he plays any less than 65, then it will be a concern. Good evening, Bob. What's up? Yeah, it looks so different to last season's team. Definitely. It's going to surprise some people the way we play. Howard, we can play 5 out with Boston now and open the space for Jalen to operate. That's a great point. Look, Jalen goes to God levels, all-star, MVP levels like we saw in the playoffs. It's important to complement your best player with more spacing, right? Again, not trying to throw shade on Julius Randle, but we have a player with better shooting percentages now. Simply put, so Brunson has more space to operate, and then you bring in OG DiVincenzo and Bridges for DiVincenzo. Obviously, we've got more spacing as well. Deuce can play Hart's role as well if he gets some starting minutes too. That's what makes Deuce so versatile, guys. That he can start, he can be the 6th man now. Yeah, he's so important to this team. But in talking about the depth, guys, how I feel about it is I feel like someone's just going to either surprise us and have to step up. Maybe someone's going to get more of an opportunity than people expect. I'm looking at maybe a Kolek first and foremost, because I think his game is his processing of the game is NBA ready, but the speed of the game and the defense might be his setback. But maybe Ariel Huckporty, who's been playing pro for 4 seasons. He's a rookie, but maybe he comes in and can give us 12 minutes a night. Maybe Kevin McCullough, who was the NCAA, one of the best wing defenders in the NCAA this past season with Kansas. Injuries held him back, unfortunately, as well. It just seems like a lot of these guys have question marks, But when healthy, I think Kevin McCullough's game is NBA ready on a defensive level, which is a good place to start because there's a lot of guys that are going to get shots. We don't really need Kevin McCullough to be shooting. So if he could be okay defensively or better, I think at 6'6", he's very long. Once again, he was one of the best wing defenders in the NCAA. 4 years of college, he's more mature as well. We talked about it in our draft coverage, but I think the Knicks had an amazing draft for the future. I think for the picks that they had, they drafted guys that they felt were more ready, especially in the second round. Pacome Dadier is more of that project. But when it comes to players who are a bit more size-wise ready and a bit more defensive ready, I think you've got McCullough, Huckporty, and Pacome Dadier is 6'9", going on 6'10". If he can get in the weight room, I think he showed flashes in summer league that he can be a good wing defender. The shot was suspect, putting the ball on the floor was suspect, but defensively, Pacome Dadier looks like he could be an NBA defender. Fam as well. So I feel like someone's going to have to step up. right, as currently constructed, right? If anyone in the front court gets injured, my first replacement is obviously Precious Achua. Precious will come in. He'll be the backup center to start. He'll be the backup power forward as well. Maybe Jericho Sims as well. Maybe they're both the 4 and the 5 backing up. Landry Shamet is going to have to come in and be that backup 3. Right now, he's 6'4". He's a bit undersized, but here's where I will go. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this, guys. Who would you rotate with in terms of the first substitute? Because I believe the Knicks could be super dangerous if they keep 2-3 starters on the floor at all times. And I think the Knicks could do that if fully healthy. So what I would do is I would sub Brunson and I would sub OG out first. That way you still got Hart, Bridges, and Towns on the court, right? And then you bring in Deuce McBride for Brunson, or you bring in Payne. And then Precious Achua comes in for OG Anunoby, right? You've still got 2 to 3 starters on the floor, right? And you've got go-to options in Cat and Bridges, who can be the offensive engines with the bench. Or you could maybe sub Brunson and you could sub Towns out, and you keep OG and you keep Bridges. Those two could be the focal points on, with the bench as well. And then when you need to sub Bridges and you need to sub Towns out, you can bring those other guys back in. The other guys that you sat, that they, you bring OG back in and you bring Brunson back in, right? And you substitute them, and you've always got quality. You've got offense and defense always on the floor. I think best case scenario. Justice, what's up? Says we got to wait until at least the All-Star break or until Mitch is traded to evaluate. So far, I'm loving what they are doing. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think we just got to wait and see. Things are a little shallow off the bench, in terms of the depth that we had, but the depth that we had was elite. Not every team in the league had that kind of depth at all. And right now we've got Deuce McBride, I think, could be the 6th man. I think if Landry Shamet can be serviceable, do what he do, shoot 38%, 37%, give us that 12 points a night off the bench. We all know campaign can be a problem for the other team as well, right? I think Tibbs is probably going to go 8-9 man. If there's foul trouble, he'll go to the 9-10 man. But with Jericho being that guy, but I think that it's all going to be up to the situation with Mitch's contract and maybe a trade coming through, right? I mean, Leon's a smooth operator. He's talking to teams. There is interest from what we're gathering in Mitchell Robinson. There's talk that the New Orleans Pelicans, who really need a center, like they really need a center, so that could help us a lot. I know some people feel like we could get, maybe Trey Murphy. It's not likely, but we never know. We might have to attach some more pieces. But we do have a trade chip, Mitchell Robinson, when he's not out for the season. So that could help, teams be looking at it like, okay, Mitch is still going to come back. He's on a really good contract. So that could help us get a 2-for-1. What do you guys think? Realistically, for 10 million, who would be 2 players that you would like to trade for with Mitch's salary? That would help this team's depth, right? What pieces do you feel like we need? I feel like, look, with Deuce and Shamet, we might be okay off the bench scoring wise, but I think we definitely need a bit more size and durability off the bench, and maybe in the wing spot with a bit more size. But if McCullough and Dadier, turn out to be something, then that'll be gravy. Yeah, so Marcus Morris's salary, unfortunately, was the reason he had to get waived. His game would have fit perfectly. I know I would have felt much more better about our depth with Mook Morris here. What's up, Mike? Salute. Bob says Tibbs will focus only on defense, too. So Nick Richards, Howard, is making $5 million. So that is something where if we're already dealing with Charlotte, keep a lookout for that. Keep an eye out to see if we do make a play for Nick Richards in that deal, and maybe we sweeten the pot for Charlotte and send them some more second rounders, because they are doing us a favor by taking on Washington, Jeffries, and Charlie Brown too. I know Minnesota are probably going to throw them a pick as well. We're all waiting for this trade to be finalized so that we can really get to work and know what's happening. Shamet is serviceable, but he is 26. Susan says Sims is suspect to me. Contract year, Susan. Contract year. So look out for a big year for Sims, right? I'm channeling all my energy on a Jericho Sims breakout. I'm not putting all my house on it, but I'm channeling some energy to, because that would be big if Jericho Sims can really be serviceable. Don't forget we brought in some new coaching staff. We brought in the one and only Mark Bryant, who's he's supposedly the best assistant coach with the big men. He could turn Jericho into a really good backup. He's got the physical tools. I think it's all above the shoulders with Jericho. I think getting up to speed with what's happening. Jay, I'll talk about Clint Capella in a minute. But one point on Sims, guys, is if we're switching on D, that works for Jericho. He's one of the best bigs who could switch on defense on the perimeter. What Jericho wasn't good at was fighting over screens and getting lost on screens and things like that. And being quick enough on help D. Help defense was Jericho's setback, right? Processing the game. But his physical tools and switching, I think screen setting was something that helped him a lot as well. So, look, we're going to need everybody. We're going to need everyone, right? If someone goes down, Jericho will be in the rotation. He might even be in the rotation to start, right? So, to me, it's probably out of the rotation. It's probably the 10 guys you see on screen. Maybe Jericho's the one that starts out of the rotation and he just trusts Precious. And obviously Bridges and OG and Hart can play some backup 4 as well. But it'll be interesting to see if he goes 9-man, 10-man, and see what we do, because we're working with very fine budget to fill the rest of the spot. Now, in terms of Clint Capella, for Mitch, the money doesn't work, unfortunately, fam. So Capella's on 17, Mitch is on 10, or Mitch is on 12, I think. So we have to send out more money than we take back with the salary issues we have. So we would have to make it work, we would probably have to include Precious. Mitch and Precious would make it work, I think. So again, would you gut your depth to bring in a more solid piece, but you're losing 2 pieces? But look, Clint Capella for the playoffs, that his experience would be something worth considering as well. Mike says Daddy going to kill it in Westchester. He's going to get a lot of minutes with Westchester for sure. Jericho's rim protection, Mike, is also an issue too. I feel like Precious is one of the maybe one of only 3 backups we have AP. I think Jericho Sims can be a backup power forward as well. I think obviously Hart and OG Anunoby, not in an ideal sense, but they could be backup 4s as well. And look, I think while not ideal, and I need to see them on the basketball court first, but Pacome Daddier and Kevin McCullough have the size to guard 4s as well. That's just not my opinion. That's on their scouting report. So basically, Dadier is 6'9". He's growing. He's only 18. He's growing like, I mean, I won't be surprised if Pacome Dadier is 6'10", 6'11" by the time the season starts. Players that age are growing like nothing. Also, Kevin McCullough was one of the best wing defenders in the NCAA. On his scouting report, as I broke down when I did the draft shows, McCullough can guard up in post-up situations as well. He's a very smart defender, kind of like the way Drew Holiday can kind of guard up, in post-ups. So he's a guy that you can't back down in the post on some bigger matchups. But again, I haven't really seen him live. We haven't seen him in summer league. We haven't seen him in preseason yet, as well. So it is pretty thin, fam. But we do have some makeshift options too. Yeah, Westchester. I mean, Deuce McBride killed it. That's what kind of got Deuce going. Maybe it's what gets Dadier going as well. I mean, if we sign Morris, you'll definitely give us something, whether it's 8 minutes, 6 minutes, 3 minutes, and a couple of hard fouls. I like his fit with this team. He's a throwback. Remember, guys, we lost a bit when we gave up Julius and obviously the enforcement. When we gave up like Bobby Portis as well, Crazy Eye Bobby. But back then, we had Mook Morris on this team. He was all about it. He would get in people's face, and he would really fit this team because we need someone like that. Unfortunately, the money just doesn't work. But we might be finding a way to make it work. Now, I'm going to dig this tweet up, fam, because I didn't talk about it as much when we did the pod with EJ the night before last. But I want to bring this up, and then we'll hear from Bobby Marks as well, guys. Salute. Smash that like button. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, there was a tweet put out by Fred Katz. Right, here we go. I've dug up the weeds for you all, fam. Let's bring it up. So, basically, Fred Katz was reporting that to open up spots, the Knicks had to waive Mook Morris, right, to do all these sign and trades, right? They waived Akiki, waived Akiki and Morris, so that they could sign Jeffries and those other guys, send them to Charlotte. A lot of people were confused, myself included. Why did we sign Mook and give him up? We need him. Well, this guy Madgood asked whoever else, how many people are we selling for Cat? Damn. Fred said, I have a good idea of what is about to happen, but I'm not reporting till I'm 100% on it. Right. And then Fred said, everyone calm down. It's not juicy unless you're the biggest cap nerd on earth. So what is Fred alluding to? I think he's talking about some kind of cap maneuver where we did waive Akiki and Morris to do the necessary and consummate the trade for Cat. And then we have other moves up our sleeve in order to maybe get Mook Morris or maybe get Chuma Akiki back with the squad. We've done it in the past. I won't be surprised. Right? Fred hasn't reported any further. He hasn't alluded to what is actually going down. But it does sound like something is going down. As Fred said, I have a good idea as what is about to happen, but I'm not reporting on it. So like you guys said in the chat, stay tuned, because this isn't the final thing. I mean, we're trying to win a championship. I don't believe the front office is confident that this bench depth is where they want it to be. And I feel like that's why they're probably taking calls on Mitchie as well. Also, don't forget that as much as we need him right now, Precious Achua is a very good trade chip as well, fam. Very, very good trade chip. He's on $6 million, and it's a 1-year deal. It expires, and another team might be looking at that like, hey, let's say he has a very good first part of the season, balls out, maybe we can trade Precious and Precious and Mitch for more pieces as well. So we have some other updates from Bondi too on the Knicks coaching staff. Let's talk about that. So we have lost Johnny Bryant to Cleveland, and the 3 Knicks assistants on the bench next to Tibbs will be Rick Brunson, Andy Greer, and Darren Ehrman as well. And we also brought in Mark Bryant, the big man coach as well. So we'll wait to see on that one. But yeah, for salary purposes, we need to fill 2 more spots for 3.6 million as currently set up. We can open up more space by trading someone else. It might not be Mitch, it might be someone else. We might end up waiving some of the two-way guys and using them to bring in more guys as well. As Bobby says, this is still very fluid. Now, on that note, let's hear from Bobby Marks, ESPN. The best starting 5 in the league. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would even go on record right now and saying that this New York team, their starting 5, is the best starting 5 in the NBA on paper. Now they certainly have to go out and they have to go out and play, right? We start training camp right now, and when you look at certainly Carl at the 5 and then OG at the 4, and Anunoby, health is going to play a big role. My only concern, Perk, is their depth. And I know losing Dante DiVincenzo hurts as far as who comes off the bench for this New York team, but that starting 5, including the Boston Celtics, is as good as any starting 5 in the NBA right now.
Is as good as any starting 5 right now, right? So best versus best, you see the lineups down below in the graphic, man. How we stack up, how we line up against Boston. Brunson against Drew, Bridges or Hart guarding Derek White, and then the other one guarding Jaylen Brown. OG on Tatum, I like that matchup, right? Who else best to suit with the physicality and the defense on Jason Tatum and really contest those threes and step backs that he likes out on the perimeter as well. As again, guys, as everyone's kind of concerned about the power forward situation, you also want to be the best matchup to take down Boston. A big clunky power forward or a slower footed power forward isn't the best matchup for Jason Tatum. I think he likes to play out on the perimeter a lot. He likes to drive. You need someone a bit quicker. I think OG Anunoby is a great matchup for Jason Tatum as well. We know Jaylen Brown doesn't have the best handles. I think a guy like a Hart or a Bridges could also guard him very strongly. And also, the battle of the stretch bigs, man. We go back to the 2016 draft, 2017 draft. Kristaps Porzingis, former Knick, now going up against Karl Anthony Towns, the starting 5 on the New York Knicks, man. How crazy is that? The guy that I wanted us to draft back in the day, and we took KP, and the crowd went crazy. Now, Kristaps is in Boston. He's standing in our way of breaking the championship drought, and we finally have Karl Anthony Towns, and we have Mikal Bridges, 2 guys that we should have drafted, and we went out and we got as well. So that's insane. I mean, Leon was definitely trying to tie up some loose ends when he came to the Knicks. Alan says Jake Toppin is better than Dadier and McCullough Jr. He should be signed to a standard contract too. Yeah, look, Jake had a pretty solid summer league, but I feel like I need to see more. But I feel like, this could be a year where he shows something. It is a year where Jake Toppin is on the final year of 2A eligibility. So I won't be surprised if he does get converted at some point, if the New York Knicks like him enough. We did let Skapensev go. We didn't want to use him on a 2A. He's now in Boston as well. There is some free agents still out there, guys. Markelle Fultz would be a cheaper minimum as well. He wouldn't be as expensive as Mook Morris, because he's only been in the league for not very long. So there might be a world where we could fit Landry Shamet and Markel Fultz, in the roster. That could be someone, maybe a Bismack Biyombo. Maybe a Bismack, JaVale McGee. There is some free agents still out there that may be cheaper than a McMorris too. But look, I'm not sold on Jake Toppin. I think they need to do more. They can't waive Pacome Daddier, fam. He's a long-term prospect. But it is interesting that they did decide to give him a full roster spot because he's taken up pretty significant salary. So that could let us know that they might try to play him, As I also said earlier, fam, as we said, OG was asked about his free agency. I always wanted to be here. Wasn't a hard decision for me. For OG, man. He's had the fresh cut as well. Looks clean, looks healthy. Yep. Overall, successful media day for me. I mean, nothing over the top. No one saying anything crazy about winning a chip. Just let the work do the talk. And talk is cheap for me anyway, in terms of now we are in the end game, ladies and gentlemen. There's some fine moves we can make. But for the most part, this is it, right? It's championship bound, championship dreams. The New York Knicks can make it. They can go all the way, I feel. Alan Hahn believes it, right? I believe it. Let's see how it all plays out, fam. Right? As we get ready to wrap this thing up, salute to the squad, salute to the chat, smash that like button. We've all got the Knicks streets buzzing. Appreciate the support, and what a season this is going to be, man. A new era, a new chapter. We turn the page now. This trade is gone down, and it's all eyes on the upcoming season ahead, training camp, preseason. A lot of our questions will be answered eventually, right? It's natural to have some questions going into a season. You could say that about every team, especially Denver. You could say that about Minnesota. How does the new pieces Randall work with Ant-Man and those guys as well? Major pieces got to integrate as well. I mean, we're so strong in the East. Miami haven't really got stronger. Indiana, I think, will be looking to get revenge on those guys for sure, man. Orlando, I think, are coming, but I think everyone else, we clear by a wide margin, including Toronto, the Hawks, Chicago, and all those teams that I'm forgetting about. But, basically this is it. I'm excited to get it going. Let the games begin, right? As I said, we'll be live again on Wednesday. We might be live tomorrow with some more updates, but live Wednesday with Coach Nick, and also a podcast on Thursday with Bill Pito. And then, man, it won't be long before we're talking about real games, real preseason games. We'll get to see how it all plays out, man. Many blessings. I hope your football team won, and I hope the New York Knicks, right, get to where we need to go this season and get it popping. Guys, appreciate everyone. Let's get it on the next one. CT out. Let's talk soon. Peace.